I think Venezia is one of the best tier 10 cruisers, especially if you like to play aggressive. This ship is so insane at mid to close ranges. Not that it's bad at long range either. The sap certainly deals a ton of damage at, well, even at obscure angles, right? Bow on Monty still takes nearly 8,000. This ship, though, really excels in that mid-range, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually push into this Montana, and there's actually a Worcester and a Holland here. And we're almost going to solo push them. And I feel so confident to do this in a Venezia because of this fuel smoke. Essentially a get out of jail free card. The ship is able to push and deal so much damage and then slip away. And there's really not many other ships in the game that can do that. I think the Italian battleships kind of can do that, but they don't have reliable enough guns to really make use of that get in, hit someone really hard, and then get out kind of playstyle, the hit and run style. And of course, we should bring up Napoli, the other tier 10 Italian cruiser, but that one also has some not amazing gun power. Its armor is much better, and of course it does have secondaries, but I'll take Venezia guns any day of the week over Napoli guns, especially since they get sap. I think sap is easily one of the more broken parts of this game, as certainly in terms of ammo. HE and AP, well, maybe there's some balancing issues there as well on certain ships, like Conqueror and Thunderer HE being a little insane. They're at least reasonably well balanced around HE being more consistent, but generally dealing much less damage, and AP being high risk, high reward type of ammo. SAP just kind of gets the high reward and the consistency, right? The high reward from the AP, this is the alpha damage, we're going to see this on this Worcester here, and the consistency of HE, since I don't really have to aim for his Citadel. I just need to hit him anywhere, and we're doing 15,000 damage in a single salvo. And yes, I'm running range mod here, so my reload's not the best, but having range mod helps me feel more comfortable in a lot of these situations. It would certainly help, though, to have some reload pushing into this Worcester and Montana. And at this point, I'm really not sure if I should be pushing here. Could be getting into a crossfire of torpedoes, but I decide to go for it, and that's really where this fuel smoke comes from. I feel the most confident in my Venezia as far as a pushing cruiser. The ability to stop shooting for 20 seconds, smoke up, and I know I can get away. And we actually managed to catch this Holland because the Venezia is actually nearly a 39 knot cruiser. It's that fast. It's 38.5, I believe, with the speed flag. So we catch up to this Holland and absolutely crush him, even though he's angled. And, well, if he does that kind of turn, that's a huge mistake in front of a Venezia. Goodbye. That's 2 salvos into a tier 10 destroyer that we managed to overrun, right? I can't believe it. We caught up to him, we're that fast, and in 2 salvos take him out. We take a lot of pain though, right? We're getting close to this Montana, certainly getting close to this Worcester. We stop shooting, wait our 20-second cooldown on our detection, right? Our bloom takes 20 seconds to reset after firing, smoke up, and get away. This Worcester could be radaring here, but he's on his way away, so he would have been not able to spot us again very quickly. 9-kilometer radar on the Worcester, we can definitely deal with that. So now that we've taken out the enemy destroyer, we don't need to just use the smoke to get away. We can use it to shoot while being undetected. Of course, that's one of the main uses of smoke screens these days, but that's more down to, wow, another 15k salvo. But that's, again, more down to smaller caliber shells and smaller caliber guns like destroyers and some very light cruisers. Ships with this kind of alpha damage and larger caliber guns tend not to be able to make use of that smoke. And, well, we can't really either until it's around that 12-kilometer range. It's always good to know what your smoke fire penalty is. We made use of that so we could shoot without being detected. And at this point, the Worcester's taken so much damage. My team has pushed up finally, and there's really no way that we're going to go down here. You'll notice we actually managed to hit a torpedo. Venezia torps aren't very good, but they do go a long range and sometimes are able to hit people. So that's 112k in a very, very short amount of time. Not only did we do a ton of damage, we managed to cripple the enemy radar ship and 2 salvo the enemy destroyer on this flank. And at this point, it's just the cleanup. Our team is very much in control of this game, especially since they're about to win on the 9-10 line, and we're going to just encircle the enemy team on the B cap. I don't think Venezia or the Italian line really is a beginner-friendly line, but if you're someone who really enjoys playing cruisers, I think you've got to go after this line at some point. Maybe you've played the Des Moines line, maybe a few other light cruiser lines. I think Venezia is an awesome heavy cruiser line. Not for beginners, but for more experienced players, because it's difficult to know what situations you can push and what situations you have to kite away from. And that's really what it comes down to with the Venezia. To make the most out of this ship, you have to be good at positioning, and if you want to impact the battle, it's only your damage output. There's no radar here, and there's not too much tanking ability. There is a little bit, but the primary way you're impacting the game is through your damage. And of course, the sap is disgusting against destroyers. This is always a great tactic to use when playing the Venezia line, the Italian cruiser line. It's just to push in with your destroyers and try and win those engagements. Try and help your DDs win those engagements. I promise you that a 5 to 10,000 damage salvo into an enemy destroyer should help your friendly destroyer win that fight 9 times out of 10. It really doesn't even matter. It could be a Shimakaze, let's say, against a reload boosting Kleber or a Marceau. It's still going to win. The Shima will still win that fight thanks to that insane burst damage. And that's what I'm often trying to do in the Venezia. This game just didn't happen to work like that. I pushed down the one line and it managed to work. That's why I wanted to show it to you, is that I managed to be so aggressive in a cruiser of all things, and it managed to work out. And I really think Venezia is at its best at these closer range situations, taking the fight to the enemy team and being very aggressive. This ship used to be much better at longer ranges before they slightly nerfed the pen angles on the sap. Previously, outside of 17 or 18 kilometers, the shells would come in at such a steep angle that they would actually be full penning. They wouldn't be bouncing off of deck armor at those ranges. So you fire at a bow-on battleship at those ranges, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get all full pens. His deck armor really didn't matter unless it was, more than 54 millimeters, which is the pen on this sap. So a good change, I would say, forcing Venezia players to not just spam sap at bow-on battleships at maximum range to get damage, forcing them to position a little bit better. Sap still has ridiculous penetration angles, so even at a 20-25 degree angle, you're going to get a lot of full pens regardless. But I am glad that they made that change, since it really does incentivize this flanking, brawling, mid to close range playstyle to get the most out of this ship. And while it wasn't maybe the most damage I've ever had in the Venezia, we certainly got a lot of damage very quickly, and we had a massive battle impact by pushing this flank and essentially surrounding the remaining enemy ships. As for the build, well, I'm using a bit of an obscure one. I'm actually using heavy HE and sap. That's why I'm getting some of those little bit extra damaging salvos in there. Of course, it does mess with your concealment, so yeah, 14.2 is not the best. I think it is a much better ship without heavy HE and sap. I just happen to not redistribute it, and I've been having some pretty fun games with it. If you have better concealment, it allows you to push up a little closer with your destroyers in those early game fights and impact the game very heavily that way. I'm definitely going to get top grade gunner next though, and maybe that'll make a little more sense with heavy HE and sap. It's one of those lighthouse type builds. Not fully committed, of course, we're still taking some concealment, but that way, at least if someone's within our standard detection of 14.2, we're getting a bit of a reload buff. You'll notice I'm also taking Eye in the Sky as well as Gunfeeder. Gunfeeder is necessary for those mid to close range salvos into broadside cruisers. Being able to swap over to the AP is very nice. But if you're not thinking you're going to get Citadels, always stick with Sap. It's just going to be a better ammo type. You're going to get much more damage. Eye in the Sky, this is more when I want to take reload mod. With range mod, I don't really need the plane all that much. But with reload, I definitely use my plane a lot, and I want it very frequently. I don't need the duration, I just need it frequently available. So taking Eye in the Sky is pretty nice. There's certainly some other more specific builds you could go for, but I tend to swap back and forth between range and reload. You'll notice I'm also taking steering gears mod. If you elect to not take heavy HE and SAP, you could go with steering gears mod too. You'd have a similar concealment, but this ship becomes almost impossible to hit. This turning radius of 760 meters combined with a very fast rudder shift time. I don't even know what it goes down to, but well, 40% off of 10 seconds, like it becomes insane. 6-7 seconds, I guess. With that turning radius, it's so hard to hit this ship. Of course, I'm using aiming systems mod 1 as well. Engine room protection, since I don't want to lose my rudder or my engine on this ship. And I am still using a spotting aircraft mod. This was from when I was definitely using more reload mods. I'm really enjoying my range mods though these days, since it makes me feel a lot more comfortable in many more scenarios. I don't get upset when I see a open water map or multiple carriers and subs that keep me from pushing in. I don't get upset when I have range mods, since I know I can still be effective. And that to me is pretty important. Before I go though, just check out the armor. Yeah, 30 millimeters. I mean, the 25 bow and stern isn't amazing, but there's an icebreaker here. This ship is hard to take down, and combined with its amazing turning radius, rudder shift, and speed, this is a very, very difficult ship to hit, especially if you're a battleship at longer ranges. I have an extremely difficult time dealing damage to Venezias, so keep that in mind. This ship is very, very good at close, medium, and long ranges. So if you've played a lot of cruiser lines before, probably 1 or 2 cruiser lines, and you're looking for something different, this is very different, and it's very good. Just maybe not for beginners. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.